I'm Dan, and I'm doing research with the head of stablecoins at the Solana Foundation. Trained with Turbine beginning of the year, January to April, under their research cohort. Following that, did Turbine Elites, working with a small team trying to solve a real problem. Prior to the research cohort, I spent 10 years in TradFi. Been a user on Solana for about 4 years before Turbine. Was really able to use that experience to kind of springboard being an end user, kind of using some of that TradFi experience to understand the landscape, to then hone in on a lot of those similar skill sets to be able to fine tune those research abilities and kind of look at Web3 as an ecosystem, as an adjacent problem set, and being able to kind of use Turbine to, I would call it like a graduate certificate or a graduate program, to be able to kind of take that real world Solana Web3 experience and then mold that into actionable material. I had mentioned my experience in TradFi. I've got undergraduate work, done undergraduate research and some graduate research as well. I think where Turbine was very helpful and eye-opening, not only from the Web3 lens, but also kind of there's a very big collaborative environment with Turbine and cohorts, and it's very good at not only understanding traditional research concepts, innovative research concepts, and then kind of working in that Web3 space, but also kind of having the ability, again, going back to the collaborative, working with your peers, right? Asking some of those hard questions, challenging not only yourself, but also others, right? And being able to kind of use that, EQ to be able to understand what you're building, what you're trying to get to, and then helping each other solve problems. I feel like that was part of the unique experience with Turbine. So for me, the nice thing about the Turbine Elites program was it followed immediately completing the research cohort at the beginning of the year. So January to April, January to March, it was Turbine research cohort. Immediately following Turbine Elites, me with my research background, my TradFi background, kind of sitting in with a small team of highly skilled individuals, right, across all breadths of what you would find in a work environment, in a small team, really trying to solve real world problems. So being able to take that research experience, kind of fine tuning it with the research cohort, and then working with a team of developers to solve a real problem in app development and kind of, those Web3 problem sets that pop up, right? And being able to have those conversations, being able to dig in and not only act as a researcher for some of these solutions that we're looking for, but also doing data work, right? Being able to kind of build out a database and kind of understanding some of those business elements as well that come up when you're working on a big project like that. So it's very interesting, that question. So I do see Turbine folks wherever I go, right? Like I've met them in the wild at events like Solana Accelerate. I'm sure I'll see them at the end of the year at Breakpoint, just from a kind of a networking and identification lens, right? And being able to kind of open things up in that way. A little bit more granular, right? Working with a small team still, working on some things with Turbine Elites. That's still an ongoing thing. I would also say, right, like my connection with some of the individuals at Turbine have led to my current opportunity doing research with the Solana Foundation. So it's one of those things where the value is, immeasurable, right? It just keeps giving. And I think that's something that anyone should take away from the opportunity. I mentioned that, I've been in the Solana ecosystem Web3 for, 4 or 5 years. So Turbine for me was an opportunity to be able to take kind of that general knowledge built over time, right? I would almost think of it as like my time in Web3 was its own, graduate program, if you will, learning Web3, learning more about development, some of that research, kind of applying that TradFi research element into Web3. But for Turbine, it really served as like a capstone for me, and still is when considering Turbine Elites. But really, it presented an opportunity to not just kind of think holistically about Web3 as this big overarching thing, and to really being able to take existing skill sets, kind of modify them and enhance them with Turbine, again, as like a capstone opportunity, and being able to really dig in and do real driven research with real questions, with real world consequences. You don't just get that, you don't just get those opportunities by thinking about them, like you get them by working with individuals, like building those networks and understanding where these problems are coming from and where they're going. It's not just a class, right? I feel like that's the wrong way to look at it. It is definitely an opportunity to push yourself to the limit and beyond, right? So if you are coming in with any research background, like, don't think you come in knowing everything, because I 100% tell you you don't, no matter what your background is. Even if you have no research background, then it's a really big opportunity for you. But honestly, between just being able to enhance those skill sets that you may have, learn about Web3 in general, it may be, you may have a question or a problem set that's something you've never really considered. That is an opportunity. And also take advantage of the people you meet, not just the leaders that come present at the class, but also your classmates, right? Because there's a breadth of knowledge and skill sets that exist, amongst the cohort. And so take advantage of that, network, message in off hours, really try to understand what you are working on and what you're building towards, and then take that momentum and carry it forward into, your next step, whatever that might be for you.